welcome everybody to another episode of the Mighty Melbourne Stars podcast. Today is a very special episode. We have a special guest joining us, Striker Central, for our first preview for the upcoming season. Welcome on, mate. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. We're excited to have you on. I know it's been something that we've been waiting for a little while, so we can't wait to get straight into some updates and news and give the fans what they want. So we're going to get straight into it. The Strikers have had a pretty interesting off season. Obviously, you've retained Jamie Overton in the BBL draft, and you've also picked up Ollie Pope and Fabian Allen. What are your thoughts on those signings, and how do you think they're going to benefit you guys in the next season?
Yeah, I'll start off with Jamie. He was a great player to get last year in the draft. The Adelaide supporters love him, and we were really hoping he would be retained. We even put a thing up on our page back in February, asking, which overseas player fans would like to see be retained. And Jamie Overton was on the top of that list. So it was fantastic to get him back, and we're so glad to have him join us in Adelaide for another season. Um, Fabian, I haven't heard too much about him, except that he is a terrific fielder. So looking forward to seeing how he does in the BBL this season. And Ollie Pope, I mean, he's a big one. Captained England in a test match not too long ago. And I believe, he will provide some excellent guiders to our top order batting lineup when the season kicks off.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it was a really successful draft overall for a lot of teams. So I think I'll be looking forward to seeing not only the Stars players, but also strikers and all the other teams, new internationals coming in and benefiting them. And of course, your main domestic signings that you guys have made is you've re-signed Alex Carey and you've also re-signed Travis Head. Now, obviously, those guys are in the test squad and they're only going to be able to play a certain amount of games. But kind of similar question: how do you feel having them re-signed back in blue, and what do you think they're going to bring for those games that they do play?
Yeah, it's fantastic to get Kez and Head back for another season. Both have been great for cricket in South Australia. Um, we saw with Travis Head, the New Year's Eve game back in 2015, getting, that century. That was a great match to be a part of. And Alex Carey, I mean, we look back at BBO07, he had a terrific season. One of the key players who got us to our maiden Big Bash title. Um, yeah, I reckon both of them, when they do get their opportunity to play this season, will, um, sorry, they will strive. Um, and yeah, they will add their expertise to the group.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think I noticed it with a number of teams around the competition that when those big players with a lot of international experience come in, it really benefits the team and gives them some great motivation as well. The fans love seeing those big names come back and support the club. So, yeah, even as a Stars fan, I look forward to seeing Head and Carey out in the middle during BBL 14. And we're going to move on to last season. Just a quick recap before we get into the preview. You guys finished the season with 5 wins and 4 losses and one not no results due to rain. You got knocked out in the semi-final or knockout final. My apologies. To the Brisbane Heat in the Josh Brown masterclass. First off, how do you feel about how you guys went in that final? And do you think there's things that you did wrong or that you needed to do differently?
Oh, look, I mean, I believe there was. Our bowling wasn't up to the standard it was, a few nights prior when we took on the Scorchers. I mean, that was just a terrific game. We went in there as underdogs and came out as winners. Um, but yeah, our bowling really let us down that night. There was a few fielding decisions, that could have also, um, been changed and could have been better. But Yeah, Josh Brown, what a star player he is. Would have loved to have had him gone to the Strikers this season, but unfortunately he chose the team in red. So
And you can
um,
imagine I'm not happy about about that one.
no, oh yeah, I can definitely tell, we've got our rivalry with you guys, and you've got your rivalry with the Renegades. So
Yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, I obviously agree as well that that was an incredible innings by Josh Brown. As a Maxi fan, I was a little bit worried at a second that he was going to break his record in the Big Bash, but luckily he was dismissed in the end. Yeah, look, we won't just focus on that knockout final because you guys did have an incredible season despite the loss in the knockout final. What is your take on the last season overall?
yeah, well, I might just go back to the start of last season, well, we had the rained out match for our first game against the Heat, and then I think we had about four losses, four or five losses, back to back. So yeah, it was very difficult. But we somehow found momentum towards the back end of the season, and I think a week prior to finals, we were eighth. We were sitting in eighth, and then we somehow managed to get ourselves in a position, where we won so many games to end up, sitting fourth. Um, so it was a terrific effort by the boys, and yeah, I just loved how they went about it. It would have been nice to get into the final, but at the end of the day, Brisbane Heat were the better team, and got to accept that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I can agree with that kind of jumping of the ladder very quickly. It even happened to the Stars in the very short season. We only won 4 games, but when we did win those four, we went from eighth or seventh to fourth in a very short period of time. So that just shows how much the BBL ladder can change just over a few days in a few games. As you've mentioned, your wins and losses throughout the season, you did have a successful season overall. Unlucky to not get into the big final, but there's always next year. I do want to quickly recap before we move on to predictions. The Stars versus Strikers game. As a Stars fan, it was probably my highlight of the season. And for a lot of viewers at home, it would have been a great watch. Over 400 runs scored between both teams. Matt Short had a great 56 runs. Chris Lynn had 83, I've got here. And the Strikers had a total of 205. Now, when I saw that, I remember watching it. I was quite worried. The Stars weren't in very great form, and I was wondering who was going to step up. But Dan Lawrence played his first Big Bash game for the Stars and went up with a 50. And then Marcus Stoinis also had his innings of the season with 55, followed by Bo Webster's 66. And the Stars ended up totaling 211 to come on top of the Strikers. So me and Heath are obviously very happy with that game, and I've kind of already shared my thoughts about that. But what were your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, you know, you were touching on just before, we got 200 and five, and I thought that would have been enough. Um, we had a very um, terrific batting innings. Um, and it looked like our game to win. We haven't won a New Year's Eve match since 2018, so it would have been, you know, quite a few years in the making. But uh, the Stars were the better team in the end. They chased it down, and again, I put it down to poor bowling. Um, yes, and we really touched on that towards the end of the season, which was good to see. And I'm hoping, you know, that we can kind of have that same momentum heading into BBL 14.
Yeah, and from a look from the outside, it seems like you guys do have that momentum. I know you've guys. I've felt that the your club have been a bit of a threat to the league with your star batters and bowlers. You've lost a couple bowlers in the off season, but I'm sure you'll make up for that. Well, that's kind of the season recap, and now we're going to get into the future season. We're just going to get a couple predictions from you. So we're going to start off nice and simple. Where do you see the Strikers finishing on the ladder in BBL 14?
Um, Given our squad, we have made, quite a few changes in the off season, including a new coach. Tim Payne joins us. Um, I'm predicting that we hopefully should finish in the top four. Um, you know, that first place would obviously be nice, but um, I'd have to say probably second or third. We'd have to sit.
Yeah. No, I like that. I mean, obviously the Stars will be pushing for a top spot. Who knows if we'll get there or not? I know the fans will want to hear my prediction. Look, we've made some signings as well. Um, I think we had a quite successful draft and trade period, so I'd like to say we push for finals. I'm not sure if we'll get there just yet, but let's make a wild guess here. I'm going to go fourth, but for Striker Central, I definitely agree that you guys can really be a top two or three team. You've got the depth and you've got what it takes to really push for that final spot in the year. And who do you think is going to stand out for you guys and be kind of an MVP type player?
Well, it's hard to go past Matt Short, am I right? I mean, he's been the back-to-back player of the tournament. Um, also back-to-back player of the season for the Strikers. So I'd definitely say that Matt Short is up there again. If I was to say anyone but Matt Short, uh, I'd have to say Jamie Overton. I mean, he took out the Golden Arm award last season, tying with Xavier Bartlett from the Brisbane Heat.
Yeah.
But I reckon he'll have a terrific season as well.
Yeah, I like that. I really like that. Matt Short's been such a threat for the last few seasons and has really helped your team push for that top spot. As you mentioned, taking out the player of the tournament the past 2 years. And he's been playing quite well at the international level as well. So, yeah, I definitely agree with that. For the Stars, probably in a similar situation in taking our star player, Glenn Maxwell. He's had a lot of player of the seasons for the club, including last season. Now that he's not captain, a lot of people have been having mixed thoughts. I think it's going to benefit him, as I believe he's going to be able to focus more on himself and his individual performance more than worrying about the team and who's bowling next and all that kind of stuff that you have to deal with as a captain. So I think it's going to benefit him. And I mean, he's coming to the end of his career in the next few years, but I think he's going to push to get the Stars that grand final spot that he's been wanting for a few years now. So he'd be my player of the tournament slash MVP. A second, I'd give it to Bo Webster. He's been kind of my most improved the past few seasons, and he's really stood out throughout the off season in the Shield and in other leagues. And that's kind of my next question. Who do you question? My apologies. Who do you think will be most improved for the Strikers?
Sorry, did you say most improved?
Yeah,
Yeah. Um, well, most improved, I'd say Jake Weatherald. I mean, we've seen him over the past few seasons be a bit ordinary, and that game against the Hobart Hurricanes last season, he was just terrific. It's like he was a completely new man. It was awesome to see him, go out and enjoy himself and play the cricket that he used to be able to play. So I'm hoping he'll be able to keep that up, and he can. Yeah, he's my most improved player prediction for this season.
yeah, I like that. Jake's been one of my favourites to watch for the Strikers, and pretty much I just reiterate what you said. He hasn't done that, and then he's improved again, and he's going to keep improving, I think, for the remainder of his career. So that's great to see. My final question, it's a bit of a weird one. Me and Heath talk a lot about what the Stars need to improve on as a team. We notice that we slow down a lot in the middle overs and that we can't chase a total, and that our run rate just simply isn't good enough to be able to defend teams. Do you think the Strikers need to improve on anything going into BBL 14? This could be batting or bowling or anything. Do you think there's any improvements that need to be made?
Yeah, I do think it's a bit of everything really. We have over the past few years we've had one season where our batting hasn't been too good, but our bowling has. And then last season it was kind of the other way around. So trying to get it both, together. And also include fielding in that too. That would be awesome to see an improvement on as well. Um,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I like that. I think for the Stars, we've kind of been in similar situations before. I believe our bowling's been a bit of a weakness over the past few years. We've used Harris Rolfe as our main bowler with the international signing, but we haven't taken him this year, which I don't mind. I think it's good to get new people in. We've signed Tom Curran, so hopefully he'll benefit our bowling attack and get some new guys in to strengthen our lineup. But yeah, that takes me to the end of the preview for the Stars versus Strikers BBL 14 match, and it's been great to have Strikers Central on as our first guest for the upcoming season. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
besides Go Strikers, that's about it.
No, well, it's been great having you on. Sorry, Heath couldn't join us in the end.
No
But
worries. Thank you very much
everyone,
for having me.
no problem. Everyone listening, make sure you go onto Instagram and give a follow to Strikers Central. You make some incredible graphics and content, and it'll help him out. But other than that, it's been great filming another episode of the Mighty Melbourne Stars podcast. And thank you again to Strikers Central, and we'll see you all later.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate. See ya.
Bye.
What you doing? You just wanna sunset. You don't want my heart. Maybe. What you doing? You just wanna sunset.